Hi, Tom here again for another video looking at some things I've picked up and also just my opinions on some things that have been quite big in the mainstream media and gaming media in the last week or so. Pickups. This morning I got up at 5:30 and went to a car boot sale. I've not been to a car boot sale for absolutely ages, and for those people who don't know what a car boot sale is, imagine a big field in the middle of nowhere and loads of people drive up there in their cars, and then they open the boot or the trunk of the car and then they sell their rubbish out of the back of the car. And then people like me, who've got nothing better to do on a Sunday morning, go to this field, walk around, have a look at the junk that these people are selling, and then offer them sums of money for their own junk. And then that junk then becomes my junk. So that's what I did this morning. Had a look around. In recent times, looking for gaming stuff at car boot sales is a bit of a fool's errand, because since the rise of eBay and other online, auction sites, finding anything at a car boot sale is very uncommon these days, especially gaming stuff. You will find PlayStation 2 games, Xbox games by the box load, but anything from earlier than that, you might as well not even bother. The one near me is one of the biggest in the south of England, so I went just to have a look out of curiosity more than anything. And when I got there, it was pretty spectacular, the size of it. It's called Three-Legged Cross, and it's just this. It's massive. It's two massive fields of cars, and it's, as far as I can see, it's just people selling junk on their little tables and out the back of their cars. So it's good just to go just for something to do, really. You can have a coffee and a bit of breakfast and that, and just walk around and see what junk people are selling. So yeah, I went down there this morning, dragged my girlfriend with me. Don't think she was too impressed. And I did spot a couple of gaming things, nothing stellar to be honest, but I did pick up a few things. I spent about £20 in total. I also bought one thing that doesn't work, which I will show you if it's actually, yeah, there it is. So gaming things that I picked up are these. I picked up a PS Vita game. You don't see PS Vita games very often anymore in shops, and so I saw Rayman Origins for £5, so I picked that up because I've never played it before. Quite like the original Rayman. I've got that on the PlayStation. And I also saw this for £5, which is Loaded on the Sega Saturn. Interesting, well, not interesting, but little side story for Loaded is when I first got my first Sega Saturn in around about 1996, I think it was Christmas '96. It came with Loaded. This is one of the games that was in the bundle, and it was meant to come with 2 controllers and a steering wheel, but for some reason the second controller wasn't included in the bundle. And so when me and my brother wanted to play 2-player games, for example Loaded, one of us had to use the steering wheel and the other one had to use the controller. So we would take it in turns. Player 2 would usually, turn, a game like Loaded, which is a top-down shooter, with the steering wheel or the race controller, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Loaded. It's quite a good game actually. It's just, again, like I say, it's a top-down shooter, lots of gore, some quite good music as well. Yeah, so there was quite slim pickings at the car boot sale this morning. Those are actually the only 2 gaming things I picked up. One thing that I've been after for a while though is a multi-source switch box for the TV that I have in my little games room, because obviously I have various consoles underneath it, and it's a pain in the ass trying to unhook them around the back, in the SCART socket. So I have been using this little thing. Give me a sec. It's just one of these cheapo things I've been using to change the SCART inputs. But I thought I needed to get. I've been after something proper for a while, something decent, a proper SCART switch box with different inputs like S-video and all that kind of thing. And I saw one at this car boot sale this morning, and it was all boxed and everything. And the guy said he only wanted £2 for it. So I thought, right, brilliant. That looks like a bargain. Finally, I've got one, so I don't need to keep going behind the back of the telly or messing around with this thing. And then, well, I'll show you. I got it out of the box when I got back in the car. I should have checked it really when I got the box, but the box was in really good condition, so I had no reason to assume it would be knackered or anything. And then when I got it out of the box, the back of it was hanging off. See? And then when I plugged it in and then put it on the shelf, I kind of got this weird, not an electric shock, but I could feel the current kind of thrumming through it, like the sort of the buzzing. I was like, fucking hell, don't know if I really want to trust this thing. It was only £2, like I said, so I weren't going to go back to them and go, oh, give me £2 back. But then when I plugged some things into it, I plugged the Dreamcast into it and the N64, and then tried to select the different channels on the front. You've got different ones here, different buttons. The sound would come through onto the TV, but there was no picture, so it's obviously knackered. It's a bit annoying because it's got quite a lot of really good inputs on the back, loads of composite, or one of the two, inputs, S-video, SCART. The only thing is that the outputs are only like RCA, so whatever you put into this, you're only going to get RCA out. But that's, for ease of use and for £2, I thought that would be a pretty good bargain. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, so that was a waste of money. What else did I get from the car boot? One more thing I got. Obviously, I do these gaming events. I go take all my crap to these different events for like the public to play on the systems, mainly the Dreamcast stuff and the retro consoles I have. And one of the monitors I've got last week decided to break, and so I saw another one, a Dell one, similar to the one I was using in my video where I did that res vibration thing, and it's got speakers built into it. So when I use the Dreamcast on it at events, don't need to take any more speakers because it's got speakers built into the bottom of the monitor, which is quite cool. And it's just another cheap LCD. That was a £5. So yeah, another very cheap purchase, but will come in very handy. And it's not a big CRT thing either, so it'll be really easy to get in and out of the car. So that's cool. Okay, so that was the car boot this morning. Not the best trip, but it was nice to get out early. Got the rest of the day to do with as I please now, things such as making this video for you. On the sort of eBay front and buying stuff online front, in the last couple of weeks I have made a few other purchases, and these are they. The first thing is this. As you can see, it's a big Dreamcast sign. It's like it's got like a kind of a profile to it. It's not just like flat. These letters and the swirl kind of stand up from the base. I think the guy who I bought it from, the guy in America, he actually makes them to order, and he must use kind of like a milling machine or an AutoCAD thing to kind of, because this is basically the sign that is on the top of the Dreamcast lid. So it's just one of those upscaled massively to this size, and then not 3D printed, but cut out and then sort of glued together. It's really cool. And again, going back to what I was saying earlier about events, that will be like up on the wall above my little display, so that people can see that that way Dreamcasts lie. So yeah, that's quite a cool thing. So yeah, that was one thing. That was £20, I think, and then postage on top. So it was about 30 in total. But I saw it. I thought it was unique. I'm having one of those. Great stuff. A couple of other things I picked up off the interwebs. First thing is Space Hulk: Vengeance of the Blood Angels for the Panasonic 3DO or the Sanyo 3DO, or whichever type you've got. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of like the Games Workshop or Warhammer or anything, but this particular game, it really holds a special place in my heart, if that's the correct terminology, because I used to have this on the Sega Saturn and I really enjoyed it. And there's something about just the aesthetic of this particular game and the world in which it is kind of based. Very kind of biblical, but also very like retro-futuristic, almost medieval, but in space, if you know what I mean. And so yeah, the aesthetic really appeals to me, and it's actually a really good game as well. It's kind of a strategic first-person shoot-'em-up where you can switch between the different members of your squad on the fly and give them orders, and you've got a battle against these aliens called the Gene Stealers. Really good game for the 3DO. So that's one I picked up. Very cheap as well. I think that was about £8 or something. Again, off eBay. Something I didn't get off eBay is this. It's a game called Wind and Water Puzzle Battles for the Dreamcast, indie game. This was actually released in around about 2008, 2009, and quickly went out of stock and then wasn't available to buy anymore unless you saw it going for ridiculous sums on eBay or on Facebook groups and whatnot. But the guys who made the game, Yanworks, I think that's how you pronounce it, they did a reprint with a company called Dragon Box very recently, and they produced another 1,000 copies of it for sale. And yeah, it was put on sale on the DE website for €9.99 plus postage, and I thought that's just a total bargain. The production values of this game are some of the best around, even better than a lot of official Dreamcast games, of which I have quite a few, as you can probably see in the background there. You get a full printed disc there, and the game box kind of mirrors the Japanese style of boxes. You get the manual. It's really well done. It's full colour in both Japanese and English, and just a really, really phenomenal game. It's a puzzle game where you have to switch the tiles around to create combinations which then disappear. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a full-blown story mode to it. The pixel art is brilliant, and it's just a really charming game. Really, it's got loads of stuff to do. Highly recommend that if you get a chance to pick that one up. Like I say, Dragon Box DE. Just type Dreamcast into the search box, and this is one of the first things that comes up. So check that out. Moving slightly away from retro now. Picked up a couple of things for the PlayStation 4 and the Vita. One thing I've been playing on the Vita actually the last couple of weeks is a game called what's it called? Darius Burst. It's an updated version or a continuation of the Darius series. That shoot 'em up with a fish that's on the Saturn and the PlayStation. I've got it on some of the PlayStation 2 collections down there, and yeah, it's a really good shmup. Obviously, I can't show you that because it's just a digital download, and brilliant game again, stuffed to the gills, pun intended, with stuff to do. Loads of different gameplay modes, loads of stages, loads of weapons, loads of upgrades. Just brilliant. And it was on sale on PSN for £15, so I was like, yeah, I'm having that one. Because it was on sale previously for $49.99, which is too much for a digital game without cross-buy and cross-play. So yeah, that's one worth picking up. That's Darius Burst. Chronicles Saviors, I think it's called, the full title. Other things on the current gen, picked up Metro Redux. I played the first one, Metro 2033, on the Xbox 360, and I had a blast with it. I thought it was brilliant. It's a story-driven first-person shoot-'em-up set in a post-apocalyptic Moscow in the underground network, where you've got different factions of you've got the communists, you've got the Nazis, you've got the group that you belong to, which is neither of those, happily. And yeah, it's just a fantastic game with supernatural overtones and loads of little side quests and things. Weapon management, ammo management, you got to buy upgrades. Brilliant game. I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's really just a remaster of the game that came for the PS3 and the Xbox 360. But if you see this one cheap, give it a chance. You can get it. I think it was about £8. I am a tightwad basically. I know I'm showing all this stuff that I bought, but it's every now and then, and I don't pay a lot of money for it. So get this game. If you see it cheap, get it, because it's absolutely brilliant. You will not be disappointed. That's on the PS4 and the not the 360, the Xbox One. Please give it a chance because it's fantastic. The other PlayStation-related thing I got is this. It's the wireless headset 2.0, I think it's called. Here's the box. Give me a sec. It's got it out of shot here. This is the box here. Yeah, it's the wireless headset 2.0. I bought this again on eBay. It retails for about £100, and again, I didn't want to pay that for it, so I got it on eBay, and I had a very short-lived bidding war with somebody else, and I ended up winning these for about £30, which was an absolute steal. And initially, I really wanted them because obviously you can use them with the PS4, and you can use them wirelessly with the PS4. But for some reason, I assumed they'd be wireless with the Vita as well. And I just had images of myself sitting on the train on the way to work, playing on my Vita. If I had a Vita here, I'd be playing on a Vita. Imagine this DS is a Vita. That's me playing on the Vita on the train. So yeah, without a wire. When it came and I got it out and I was trying to pair it with the Vita, I actually then looked at the instructions, and apparently it's not Bluetooth. It uses a dongle. Where have I put it? Here it is. This little dongle comes in the box with it. It's got a nice little PlayStation sign on it. You stick that in the USB slot on the PS4, and then it communicates with the headset, and you've got a little app you can get as well, so you can have preset sound modes for different games like Drive Club, etc. I will say the sound quality through these is absolutely phenomenal. I used to sometimes plug my iPhone earbud things into my DualShock 4 and just play it, through that when people downstairs were making loads of noise, so I could hear the game. But these are phenomenal. The sound quality, the basses are deep. The treble is really crisp. I've been playing Doom with it and Metro again with these on, and it just adds a whole new dimension to the game. The quality of the sound is, again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record. It's phenomenal. I know you would expect them to sound good for an RRP of £100, but I can't recommend them enough. If you can get them cheap, like I did, then I would completely and utterly recommend them. I mean, you can get things like Beats or whatever. Dr. Dre Beats and other decent headphones. So it's if you can afford them or you see them cheap, then pick some up because they are really good. I think that's it as far as like pickup things go, like physical pickups. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I haven't mentioned. I'm looking around, but I can't see anything. So that's enough for me for the pickup stuff. I'm going to do like a little jump cut now, and then I'll come back and talk about some other things that are in the title of the video. Okay, I know that other better YouTubers do this thing where it kind of jump cuts constantly. They talk about one thing, and then they start talking about something else, and it's just like constant boom, 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 boom. I can't be arsed with that because I literally put my SD card out of the camera in the MacBook, put it onto what's it called, iMovie, export, and then just go, right, titles, upload, bye. As you can probably tell by the very poor production values on this video. Right, I want to talk about a couple of things. I don't usually do this. I usually talk about what I've picked up, but there's a couple of things I just wanted to throw my 2 or 10 cents in, whatever the phrase is. Pokemon Go is the first thing. It's on every single social media feed that I am involved in. It's just constant Pokemon Go this, Pokemon Go that. Even on BBC News, I'm seeing stories about kids getting lost in a mine network or a cave network because they were looking for Pokemon in the mines or in the caves or whatever the fuck it is. Don't know how they wouldn't have had a signal. What the fuck they were doing in some caves, I don't know. Just a bit of background on my kind of exposure to Pokemon. I've always been aware of it since it came out, way back when. But at the time of its launch, my dad's partner, she had a son who was about 5 or 6, and I at the time would have been about probably late teens, early 20s, and he was obsessed with Pokemon. He had a Game Boy Color with Pokemon. He had one of them N64s with Pikachu on the side, the blue and yellow one. And so I just kind of associated it with him and being like a kid's thing. So I kind of distanced myself from it because, even though I was reading all the N64 magazines because I had an N64 myself at the time, I knew what it was, but it was back then. It was just like Pocket Monsters as it was known, and then it was Pokemon, and it just kind of passed me by. And still to this day, I've never played a Pokemon game ever, even touched a Pokemon game. Again, like I say, I'm aware of it because you can't not be aware of it being involved in games and being a fan of games as a hobby and as a job in some respects, with the freelancing and stuff. But yeah, never played a Pokemon game until yesterday when I downloaded Pokemon Go just to see what I knew what it was. I know it's an AR game where you walk around and find Pokemon. I know exactly what it is, and I've listened to enough podcasts about it. I've seen enough people putting pictures on fucking Twitter and Facebook about it, and read enough news stories about the evils of gaming. I had a quick go of it. Yeah, it's fine. This is I'm not going to hate on Pokemon Go because I don't think there's anything really to hate about it. It's a game, and it's using technology that is built into most devices in quite a novel way. I know it's not the first augmented reality game, and I know there's other games this developer made beforehand. I think the one, is it called Ingress or something like that, which is based on the same kind of premise. But yeah, I think it's a really good idea. It's getting kids out. This whole thing, there's a whole stigma with games that people who play games are big fat bastards who just sit there eating cake and just shouting obscenities down a headset. But it's partly true. Not gonna lie, but yeah, I think the fact that this game has got people up off the couch out into the real world, and people are actually I seen some lads the other day when I was walking home from work, talking about Pokemon Go, and I don't think they knew each other. They just they were walking, and then they kind of walk on the same side of the road, and then they both started talking about Pokemon. And like, what's wrong with that? That's great, you know. One thing I did see that kind of made me think was I came out of a shop yesterday, and these two kids just kind of ran past me, completely not even looking where they were going, just looking at the phones. Thundered past as I came out of the shop, right in front of me, and then kind of ran across the road without even looking. And like, fair enough, there weren't really any cars coming, but there could have been. And I know there's notices, when you load the game up saying, be aware of your surroundings, which is fair enough. But yeah, I don't have any problem with it, to be honest. I just think it's a really ingenious way of bringing Pokemon up to modern standards and modern technology, merging with games. So yeah, it's a good thing. Right, another jump cut. Okay, my next section where I'm going to impart my wisdom onto you through the power of YouTube. Another big story, also involving Nintendo this week, is the NES Mini, or whatever it's called. Mini. It's a tiny little Nintendo entertainment system that you can, plug into your HD TV, and it's got 30 games built in and that kind of thing. Yeah, can't really see an issue with it. Probably won't buy one myself, even though it does look quite cool. The reason I won't buy one myself is because I have one of these, and I also have one of these. So I can use the NES, and I can use this to play Famicom games. So yeah, I don't really think I'll be picking one up myself. But yeah, for those people who don't have access to a NES or a Retron, yeah, it's a cool little device. It's interesting that it's come from Nintendo, because in the past companies have kind of licensed their stuff out, rather than make them themselves. I know all those little mini Sega Mega Drives that you can get, they're just licensed by Sega. They're not actually from Sega, and you can kind of tell that in the build quality, because all intents and purposes they are a bit crap. The emulation's not spot on, and the sound is really bad. And I almost bought one myself a few months ago, but I watched a few videos, funnily enough, on this website, where the sound quality was kind of shown off to be not really there. So I just kind of thought, no, I'll give that a miss. I mean, I've already got a Mega Drive anyway, and various other devices that can play Mega Drive games, so I don't think I need one. But yeah, going back to the NES. Yeah, sorry, bit of a jump cut there, just because the camera had an issue with the battery running out. Didn't charge it up like an idiot. Thought it'd last the length of this video, but obviously I've been waffling on far too long. It's probably trying to tell me something. I was talking about the NES Mini, and yeah, I think it looks like a really cool device. Obviously, time will tell whether or not it lives up to the expectation, really. I think one of the things that a lot of people have got an issue with is the fact that it won't be expandable and you won't be able to put your own games in it. But then if you could do that, what would be the point of them releasing it without a cartridge slot? Or, do you know what I mean? How would they make money with like the virtual console on like the Wii and the 3DS and that kind of thing? Because people would invariably just basically take ROMs off the internet, put them on an SD card and just slot them in. Doesn't really make much sense. It wouldn't be in Nintendo's interest to make it expandable, I don't think, and that's really, that's probably what they're second guessing what people would do. But yeah, again, can't really see a problem with it. If you want one, get one. And yeah, I hope it's going from the NES Mini, it would be quite cool if they brought something out like a SNES Mini. And I've also seen people talking about maybe an N64 Mini, which I think would be a really good idea, because a lot of those N64 games, they don't look very good on a CRT TV or a HD TV if you can get them to run on them, because I know certain TVs won't even display an image from an N64. But yeah, they released a little box in the shape of a small N64, which had a HDMI port on the back, and you could plug that into a normal HD modern TV, and all the games were like emulated, and they were really crisp. I think that'd be really good. I mean, I do play N64 games on my MacBook, and yeah, they do look a lot better on a emulated. I've also got an EverDrive, so I use that on the actual N64 hardware. So again, I don't know if I would buy one just to play the games I already own in HD or, you know, cleaned up without all the fuzz. But yeah, it's something to think about. Maybe they will do that. It just why don't Sega do things like this? You know, can you imagine like a Sega Saturn or like a little mini Sega Saturn or a mini Dreamcast? Obviously, we don't need. I've got about 20 Dreamcasts flying around here. Don't need any more. But for those people who haven't got them or can't afford one, a little box that had all the games like in ROM format, just kind of emulated. I don't know. I'm not going to go into that whole discussion. Anyway, I've talked far too long. The camera is telling me that because it keeps telling me that the battery's running out and the memory card is nearly full. So I'm going to stop this video here now. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, and have a lovely day, whatever you decide to do after watching this video. Bye.